Have you ever imagined
medicine factory inside your body?
a new personalization treatment called engineered living therapeutics?
They can actually save about 70% of their cost. These will basically revolutionize the way of medicine is being made.
GLPs for neurodegenerative diseases.
GLP-1 or glucagon-like peptide 1 is a hormone primarily used in treatment for diabetes and obesity. They're also the active ingredient in the hugely successful weight loss drugs, which have made pharma companies billions.
10 years from now, the market size of this anti-obesity drug will reach more than $30 billion at least. Now they are starting to show slowing down your neurodegenerative disease such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and also cardiovascular disease.
These were all highlighted in the top 10 emerging technologies list released last week by the World Economic Forum in China.
We are using 50,000 square meters here in Tianjin, while in Davos we only have 30,000 square meters. We see nowadays a lot of innovations come from China, and it's very exciting to see those innovations starting to take shape in such an event.
This is already the 13th edition of the top 10 emerging technologies list, and almost half the list is biotech related. To learn more about emerging techs, I sat down with Jeremy Jurgens, Managing Director of the World Economic Forum. How big an impact do you think they will bring to people's daily lives?
These top 10 emerging technologies, initially it'll be limited impact. They're still just in the very early stages of deployment. They're just moving from research labs into early stage startups or very large companies that are running pilots. But if we look out over the next decade, I believe that the impact will be absolutely transformational. If you look at the role of biosensors for health, or for example GLPs for neurodegenerative diseases, you'll actually be able to see that this can improve the quality of health and the well-being of each individual. And of course everything around the energy technologies can also drive cleaner air, more efficient production. If we look out over the longer course of the next decades, these are the foundation blocks on which we're going to build prosperity and a healthy economy for everybody.
These technologies have proved their effectiveness and significance in the lab, but have not necessarily been introduced to people en masse. When do you expect people will start using these technologies, and which technology do you think will resonate the most?
Personally, I'm really fascinated around the energy technologies, both the composite batteries, just because everything in our daily lives are powered, and then also the emergence of new technology around small modular reactors, as well as nuclear fusion. We read daily about the demand that AI is creating on the energy systems, and so as we have increasing demand for intelligence coming out of this AI, that does require energy production, and so these will actually help us meet that in an environmentally safe and sustainable way.
It's been more than a decade since the World Economic Forum first released the Top 10 Emerging Technologies report. It's now the 13th edition. So any major shifts in the industries that the report focuses on?
I think the big shift is a lot of the innovation has moved from labs that were in the United States or in Europe, and now this innovation is taking place globally, here in China, other parts of Asia, India, so around the world. There's also just many more researchers that have been trained, and the tools that are available, both for the researchers, so we talked about AI tools, sensors, cloud computing, actually are so far advanced beyond anything that was available 13 years ago. And now we see new tools, for example, in generative AI, that will accelerate the discovery of new technologies and help advance science.
Are there any new technologies that are now well recognized by the wide public, included in your previous reports?
Probably the most famous one was mRNA, which is used for vaccines. And unfortunately, as a result of the COVID crisis, this was brought in. But that actually, the technology had been in the labs for, I think, 1960s, 1970s, but it only been started to be commercialized early on, and that one of the famous companies actually met here in China the first time, Moderna, run by a Frenchman, Stéphane Bancel, and we actually had our first meeting in Tianjin in 2008, and I remember him introducing these mRNA drugs that at the time were new and wondering how they might be used, and today they're, I think, well known and recognized globally.
It's a given that the global environment for innovation is growing more complex. So, is it slowing down the tech development around the world currently?
Yeah, I think it's raised a lot of questions, particularly access to computing power. There's a limited number of companies that are building leading edge chips today. But as a result, what we see is actually new companies coming in and saying, well, if we can't have access to the preferred chip, maybe we need to build our own. And so you see this both at a geographic level, but also company levels. So actually now today, many companies build custom chips for their own businesses. And I was just meeting last night a Chinese company here, and they're building photonic chips that actually can provide the next generation of compute. So while these may provide constraints in the near term, I actually think it'll be a driver for innovation and new solutions that emerge as a result of these constraints.